Growing up in the mid-2000s, one of my fondest memories was realizing just how big my family's DVD collection was. We didn't grow up with cable. We didn't have internet until like the 2010s. DVDs were what we used for entertainment the most. Right now, kids are living in the golden age of information. If you've forgotten something that you've watched as a kid, the majority of the time you're probably going to find exactly what you're looking for, and that's no thanks to all the people who've dedicated their entire lives to keeping things archived. If you grew up in the 90s, there's a lot of stuff that you probably watched that nobody knows about. Mean Creek was one of the DVDs in the collection, and we would watch it a lot. It became kind of a household favorite. It spawned running jokes that we still talk about today. And until much later in life did I realize that not a lot of people have even heard of this movie. Mean Creek is a small independent film that debuted in Sundance around January of 2004, and then theatrically to not a wide release, but theatrically nonetheless, in August of 2004. Directed and written by Jacob Aaron Estes, Mean Creek follows Sam, played by Rory Culkin, a small middle schooler who keeps getting bullied by George, played by Josh Peck. When Sam tells his older brother Rocky about what happened, Rocky and his friends devise a prank to get back at George. Only something goes terribly wrong. Spoiler alert for Mean Creek, because I absolutely overanalyze this film, and I'm not sorry for it. And I know that a lot of people like to come to my channel for deep dives into scary stuff, but we're going to talk about some characters. We're going to talk about some character analysis, guys. There's a ton to like in this film, and hopefully I can relay it in a way that positively, I don't know, maybe makes you want to go watch it. I implore you, everyone watching, to watch Mean Creek before you go on. But if you're like me and you like to watch videos about things that you don't really know or understand or I'm never gonna do, hi, my name's Isaiah. I do this sometimes. Why don't you just lay back like I'm doing, lay back on your gamer chair, maybe rest your eyes a little bit, and let me tell you about Mean Creek. I think the perfect way to do this justice is to kind of give you a little overview of what the film is completely about, in a little bit of detail, and then kind of explore the characters that are involved in this film. The film begins with George recording himself shooting some hoops, when all of a sudden a curious Culkin appears. This is Sam. Sam gets pummeled by George for touching his camera. This was a pretty accurate representation of bullying in 2004. I think you have to understand this type of kind of more vulgar, like you've seen bullying in 90s movies, but for the most part it was very over-exaggerated and goofy. When movies started coming around in like the mid to late 2000s, they sort of depicted more realistic bullying. Yeah, no, it's awful. It's something that is very, very disturbing to watch if you really think about it. I don't want to watch kids be bullied. Rocky ends up getting with his friends, the shy and empathetic Clyde, and the older, troubled Marty. They decide to hatch up a plan to prank George and give him a little taste of his own medicine.
Planning on stripping him, throwing him in the river, and then we're gonna make him run home naked.
A harmless but humiliating prank. Then, when Sam forgets to tell his girlfriend Millie, they see that George is just a misunderstood and good guy that doesn't deserve to be pranked. This causes the prank to be called off, only for the very agitated Marty to continue the plan anyway. It's a pretty simple movie, and if you just watched up to this part, you would probably just assume that this is a dark and realistic depiction of a coming-of-age story in 2004. But unfortunately, it gets a little more heavy than that. But before I jump into the rest of the movie, allow me to introduce you to some of these characters. Sam is an interesting character. He's just kind of a cool guy. He's obviously a kid, and he gets bullied by George a lot. Even in the first fight, George specifically says to Sam,
"Okay, I told you to never touch my camera! Stop! Didn't I, fucker, you little wet bitch?"
So this kind of assumes that this happens a lot, or at least has happened before. Sam is the kind of kid that's at your school that's like really quiet and interesting, and then he goes off for summer break, and when he comes back, he looks like this. He is what Jughead wants to be in Riverdale. That's Sam's character. The thing that I really like about Sam is that he's not even necessarily afraid of George. He's more just annoyed of him.
I wish I was bigger.
Bigger.
And I think that's really cool because it just implies that Sam has the balls to go after George, but he just wants it to stop, and he doesn't think it's going to stop until he actually can beat the shit out of him. Sam's also portrayed as the peaceful one.
You're just a little fucking Gandhi, isn't he?
I'm the fucking white Martin Luther King.
He doesn't really want to hurt George the way that George hurts him. He just wants it to stop. He's tired, he's annoying. He would rather go to the cops, but he was persuaded to do this prank, and this is the only prank that Sam would agree to. From one moral compass to another, let's talk about Millie. Millie is Sam's girlfriend and is truly one of the most innocent characters in this movie. There's a scene before they go on the boat trip where Millie and Sam are kind of having their date, and Millie is trying to ask questions to Sam that are like truly ridiculous.
Do you believe in God? It's a weird question.
It's just cute and it's realistic, but you can tell that Millie really likes Sam and is trying really hard, and Sam could, kind of care less, you know what I mean?
Sam loves it, don't you lie? Rocky is a pimp. Clyde is a
Clyde is continuously berated for being a nice guy. Clyde has the misfortune of growing up in the 2000s and having two gay dads, which might not seem like a big deal nowadays, but if you had two gay dads in 2004, I am so sorry. Clyde is played by Ryan Kelly, and Ryan Kelly is, like, low-key a really good actor. Like, a really good actor. He was in Ben 10, but I would define Clyde as one of the few in this movie as a tragic character. I think I connect with Clyde the most in this movie. He is so kind, but he's also cautious, and you can tell that he's cautious just because of how people treat him in the present, and it almost seems like it was probably worse or bad in the past too, so it just, you can tell that he has this kind of weathered look on him. He's just exhausted of the insults, and he's exhausted of the name calling. He just wants to be a normal person with normal, happy friends that love him. What I also like about Clyde is that he isn't afraid to be himself. He is quiet, yes, and he backs down a lot, but there's a lot of times where Clyde breaks through a little bit. There's a lot of times where Clyde doesn't take no shit, and I really like that. You get a lot of awkward, slow, quiet scenes in Mean Creek. At first, I really didn't like that, and I kind of attributed it to inexperience in the filming department and the writing department. But after a while, I actually really like that kind of decision because it shows that this is flawed, that, you know, the movie is kind of representing the characters. It looks dated, obviously, it's 2004, but it looks like such an awesome time capsule just from me personally who grew up during that time. I mean, that's it. This movie is the depiction of kind of what I went through growing up as a kid. Maybe not the boat stuff, but that kind of stuff happened. Now that we got kind of the morally conscious people out of the way, let's go deeper into the woods and talk about what I would say would be the troubled ones. The thing that's kind of sad about Rocky is that you can tell that he has a heart. I mean, the guy wanted to get back at his brother's bully, so like, of course he cares about Sam, but you can tell that Rocky has a really hard time. He struggles with being Sam's older brother.
Ever stared at the ceiling until it started looking kind of funny? Like it was breathing, like it was saying something, like it was saying, Rocky, gotta do something about what's been going on.
Rocky becomes a pretty central part of what happens on the boat. You can tell that he wants to protect his brother so much that he is willing to be a more aggressive, more violent person like his older friend Marty would. There are an incredible amount of themes in this movie, but I think one of the major themes is acting tough when you're just you don't need to be. There's a lot of that in this movie, and I think that's one of the cool parts about this movie and its characters is that you can kind of suss out who is real and who is fake. And you can tell that Rocky really kind of struggles with which way he wants to go. He is friends with Marty, who we will get to in a minute, but he's also sweet, and he will protect Clyde from when Marty throws jabs at him. I guess in the end of the movie, you will kind of see which side he picks, but Rocky is he's a Rocky character. All right, y'all. Let's talk about George. George is framed as a complex character, but I'm going to tell you why I think his character is pretty straightforward. You see, the main conflict of Mean Creek is the realization of what Sam, Millie, Clyde, what they all realize on their way to the creek. George doesn't seem like a bad person at all. He gives Sam a brand new water gun for his birthday. He is excited about everyone being there. He's cautious when Marty cracks open a beer when they're driving. I mean, all of these are traits that are shown in movies to show that the character is more sympathetic, right? I mean, the themes in Mean Creek indicate George isn't mean, and he's just misunderstood. That he's just pretending to be somebody that he's not. And by the end of the movie, he's gonna redeem himself. That character does exist in this movie, kind of, but it's not George. Marty, in my opinion, is the main character in Mean Creek, and it's disguised very well. Marty is the tough guy, the cool guy, the guy who smokes and drinks and drives. He is just as much of a bully as George is. Marty, however, is the product of his environment. He gets bullied by his older brother Kyle. His mother is a drug addict. His father takes his own life. A situation that we come to find out that Marty still incredibly struggles with to maintain control. I want to get back to Marty and George's characters a little bit, but I do want to talk about the major theme in this movie, the juxtaposition between genuine and disingenuous in Mean Creek. There's a scene between Rocky and Sam where they're walking home from school, playing the good old game of Who Would You Rather Do. It's a great game. Everybody should play it. Everybody probably has played it. The scene shows a perfect example of how real and genuine Sam is.
All right, Heather Locklear or Shannon Doherty?
Don't know who Helen Locklear is.
Of course he doesn't. He's a kid. Another scene that establishes good moral character is the scene where Marty, Rocky, and Clyde are smoking and talking about the plan. Marty offers Clyde a joint, but he definitely opposes Marty's bully-like peer pressure. It's another example of not being afraid, but just feeling disrespected, being exhausted of the bullying. These guys are friends, and Clyde should never feel like that in a friendship situation. This causes Marty to call him the F-slur. You know, the cool hard-ass thing to do. Even Rocky consoles Clyde, so we get to see a little bit of middle ground character development for him. It shows that Clyde and Rocky both know how Marty can get, and that's another really big part of what happens at the boat. After the gang wants to call off the prank, Marty doesn't seem too pleased. Marty feels like he wasted a lot of time doing all of this for nothing, which causes Marty to be upset. Marty ends up dropping the anchor and starts the game of Truth or Dare that was previously planned. Although there was some hesitation, the game does begin, and after a couple rounds, we finally get to Sam, who dares Marty to drop trow for 10 seconds.
Show us that famous stick of yours for at least 10 seconds.
And just the way that it's framed and the way that what he said, it's just weird. It's just weird. Anyways, Marty does it, and everyone gets to see his weenus, and apparently it's massive. It's so massive that it causes George to uncontrollably laugh to the point to where he gets kind of freaking annoying and kind of starts to mock copycat Marty.
All right, well, whenever you're done, let me know, because it's my turn next.
Whenever you're done, let me know, because it's my turn next.
During this whole thing, George ends up accidentally mentioning Marty's father, not even in a bad way, just kind of a clumsy uh-oh way. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough, is that what your dad says to you?
This causes Marty to basically lose control, and he ends up spilling the beans about why they're there in the first place.
Is that we didn't invite you out here because we've been secretly in love with you all these years?
Marty, don't do
We
this.
invited you out here because you smacked Sammy boy right there in the cranium.
And obviously this causes George to be extremely upset, hurling F slurs everywhere.
I don't want to hear about your fucking fathers and how their assholes work, all right?
What ends up happening is that George starts spewing very graphic kind of rhetoric towards Marty. This causes a scuffle in the boat, leading to George falling off the boat and into the creek and drowning. The group, who at this point are shell-shocked, reluctantly follow Marty's decision to bury the body and lie about what happened. And this culminates with Marty clashing with everyone else who wants to come clean and leaving Marty to go on the run. Look, I have a lot that I want to say about this movie, but I have to get something off my chest that's burning from inside of my mind. The very small minority of people who talk about this film online like to say that George is the tragic character. And while I agree that I don't believe that George deserved his fate at all, George is mean. George is an asshole. George is not misunderstood. The scene where Sam talks to Rocky about calling off the prank, Rocky, however, can see right through that. And in this scene, Rocky ends up basically depicting what George's character is entirely.
Okay, what if you were his friend, Sam? I mean, he'd still go around school beating everybody else up. And that's actually if you'd be his friend.
When they get to the boat, George seems to take a liking to Marty, going as far to lie about smoking so that he can seem cool in front of him. And in doing so, he completely shits on Millie and Clyde for no reason, just to seem cool in front of Marty.
Well, I have. All right, I'm not lying.
He doesn't smoke, Marty.
Why don't you speak for yourself, fat?
Oof.
Later, when they stop for lunch, George explicitly asks Clyde why he did what he did when he hit him in the back of the head with a baseball bat. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't take responsibility. He thinks that Clyde is the one who started it because, of course, I wouldn't have done that for no reason.
You must have done something.
No, I never do anything to anybody.
That's stupid. Of course you do.
Look, it's not stupid, George. You just attacked me.
A kid doesn't just attack for no reason.
You always attack for no reason.
I know it's your birthday, Sam, but shut your trap.
I mean, even at the end of the movie, it is very, very ominously trying to make George a sympathetic character. And I think that's intentional.
Inside of my mind, there's a zillion things about it. But the people that don't see inside my mind don't know there are a zillion things.
I think that's intentional. Maybe this movie literally did like a 720. How many rotations is that? It turned a 180. We'll just go 180. 180 is fine. This movie is 21 years old. Maybe the roles have reversed a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe back in 2004, George was the sympathetic character. And I think when I was younger, I agreed. It's very interesting. Very interesting. This scene also creates a very important character moment between Rocky and Marty. Rocky taking this time to mention that he wants to call off the prank, leaving Marty feeling betrayed by Rocky. Marty is constantly being shown that his older brother sucks, and in his mind, if Rocky doesn't get his brother's bully back, it reminds him that his own brother wouldn't protect him in this situation either. This confrontation leads to Rocky, Sam, Millie, and Clyde feeling sympathetic to George, who later shows that he is willing to berate his new friends for not playing Truth or Dare, completely oblivious that they aren't playing because it would result in the prank happening. There's a theme in this that I didn't write down, but I'm just kind of ad-lib. We have these characters who are trying to be extremely sympathetic to George. They're in this predicament. They don't want to tell George what they're there for, but they're just going to go on being normal and then never speak to him again, probably. I don't know. That's what the sympathetic characters want to do, right? But there are moments where George legitimately turns his back on these friends, and that causes everything that happens to happen. I don't want to say it like that because it seems so disingenuous. Like, I don't want George to die. I don't want George to be dead in this situation. But I'm not going to pretend that George was a sympathetic, misunderstood character when in reality he wasn't. He grew up being a single child and his mom literally would buy him everything. There's a scene in the car when they're driving to the creek where Marty takes a shot at him, asking him how much he paid for Sam's gift.
Must have blown your whole allowance on that thing, huh, George? How much you bagging a week now? 40? 50 bucks?
Basically just shows that everyone knows that he's a spoiled brat, and George doesn't like it. George doesn't like being called that. He doesn't like when people refer to him as that. So he has to pretend to be somebody that he's not, which is this hard ass that gets him killed. I'm sorry, that does. Like, obviously the kids shouldn't have pranked him, but in reality, this happens every day. If you're gonna have your bully stop bullying you, you probably need to kick the shit out of them or something. I'm not condoning violence, but people don't do anything. I grew up in that system. People don't do shit. I am a product of online schooling because of bullying, and now I'm stupid. And now I'm making videos for nobody to watch on YouTube. I have one more thing to talk about before I start talking about my likes and dislikes to close out the video. Sam goes through some pretty major changes in the second half of this film. After trying to resuscitate George, Rocky takes a back seat to Marty. Sam, knowing that lying about this is a bad idea, there is a moment where Sam is looking right at Rocky after hearing out Marty's plan, and it culminates in Sam helping the rest of the boys bury George. And when rowing back to shore, you can see that innocence and macho persona washed away. Sam goes from being skeptical about Rocky to Sam completely distrusting his own brother because of what he agreed to do. It's brutal and it's sad. And regardless of what happens, their relationship will never be the same, and all of that because of that one moment. It's a very powerful, very emotional scene, and it's such a kind of a backseat to all the major events that happen in the movie that I feel like it doesn't really get highlighted as much as it should. Okay, so before I end this video, I do want to talk about the things that I liked and the things that I disliked, because there are things that I disliked about this movie, and I will be candid. We will start with the negatives so that I can end this video with positives. How about that? The world's too negative right now. I'm gonna be honest, I absolutely hate the ending of this movie. I don't think it ruins it for me, but I want more. I know that it's kind of ambiguous about the fate of these characters, but I just want more. You see Marty kind of like ends up being what he's destined to be, I guess, on the run. You see him like stealing money from a cash register at, I don't know if it's the same gas station that was in the previous scene or not, but you see him stealing and he's crying and you can tell, I don't know. It's just like, yeah, I get it. It's ambiguous and it ends, but I want to see more. I love these characters. You take such a big opportunity to build up some like pretty unique characters that are like time capsuled, right? And it's like, I really want to see what the consequences are. I want to see how these relationships plan out. I want to see what happens between Millie and Sam. I want to see what happens between Sam and Rocky. I want to see what happens to Marty. I want to see more of Clyde's gay dads because they're so cute and they look like they love their son. Gosh. The other thing that I really dislike, there's a scene when George arrives on shore. Sorry. They had a really stupid filter over it, and I really didn't like that. I think they probably did it because it's a very scary and, unnerving scene. But the whole movie talks about how beautiful of a day it was. I think it would have been excellent if you just kept it beautiful. I think it would have been a cooler choice to just leave it an absolute beautiful day, and then it's like completely juxtaposed. But trust me, this movie is excellent. This movie's excellent, and I'm going to top it off by telling you what I found absolutely excellent in this movie. Rory Culkin plays a good little brother, and I honestly think that he excels way more after they get back from the boating trip. There are scenes where you can tell that he is trying to process emotions that he doesn't understand, and he doesn't know if he can be trusted to be vulnerable in that point of view, in that position. And you can see that he's like actually physically trying to hold back his emotions. What is up with that family? What is up with that family? That's just, they have just the good acting genes. Also, genius star Trevor Morgan is such an underrated actor. He plays Rocky so well. He's a genuine human being in this movie, and I really love Trevor Morgan, and I love him from so many great DComs. I think he was only in 2, actually. I believe he was only in 2. But I love him. Trevor Morgan, fantastic. Carly Schroeder is such a good Millie. She plays such an innocent character, but there's also like a part of her towards the end that she's excellent. She plays shocked so well. There's a scene that people kind of don't like where she kind of stabs a snail, and we don't know if it's real or not. I didn't want to talk about that, but let's just not talk about that. Josh Peck, I mean, what can you say about Josh Peck? That guy, even before Drake and Josh, you knew he was ready for stardom. And I think this was kind of around when Drake and Josh debuted or aired or something like that. I don't know. I would love to interview Josh Peck. I've seen one clip of Josh Peck talking about Mean Creek, and that was it. It makes me sad because I really want to know what his perspective is, especially now. Like nowadays, I want to know what his opinion on the film is now. Don't even get me started about Scott Meklowitz, that beautiful human being. Oh, there's a very funny scene when he's doing shooting practice and he's saying the teachers' names, which are actually people who worked on the film, which is pretty cool, but it's a really funny scene.
Kiss my ass, Mr. Estes. Kiss my ass, Mr. Rosenthal. Shit.
I wish he was in more stuff. I have some notes. Let me get to the notes real quick. To the notes! I wrote down some notes about this while I was watching it. Here we go. I really like the gas station scene. Okay, I didn't really talk about the gas station scene, but the gas station scene's really good. It shows another example of like the generational bullying situation that Marty goes through. He just seems like it shows that he's really uncomfortable around his brother. And it kind of like, I don't know, there's a theme there. There's a theme there. They're trying to show you. Also, yeah, there's a scene. Okay, so like Kyle's friend Jasper, Marty's brother's friend, Kyle's Jasper. I wrote that Kyle's friend Jasper delivers what I can only tell as either a realistic, uncomfortable life moment from a creep or yet another tense homoerotic scene. Am I going crazy? Or am I seriously projecting? There are so many moments in this film that showcase Marty talking about a lot of gay stuff. It's really true. It's true. There's a lot. There's a ton. The man talks about Clyde being an F-slur a lot. Rocky says that he is projecting.
Nah, screw that guy.
You'd really like to do that, wouldn't you, Clyde?
You're projecting, Marty. That's when you say something that someone else you say that they want to do when you're the one who wants to do it.
He doesn't respond when Kyle's friend Jasper asks if he's ever been pussy hunting. In the boat, he is happy to show everyone his wiener. I've cleared my name. I'm not crazy. It's suspect. And I'm not just simping over Scott Meklowitz. Let me read some of these more notes because I know that I wrote down a lot more notes specifically for this movie that didn't make the cut, but I went deep. I went deep down the rabbit hole. George also falls for the drunk driving joke that Marty makes, reiterating that George doesn't understand social cues, he doesn't understand reading the room or sarcasm, which is even more evident during the boat scenes. George talks about how much he has dyslexia and how his doctor told him that it's a genetic advantage in evolution. It shows that people around George make him feel more special than he actually is. It's a sad scene because we have seen the context of the prank and how George is blindly confiding in his enemies. This scene is also great because it shows how much of an actual outcast George truly is. If you were a nerd back in 2004, it was over for you. But George is oblivious to it. He thinks that makes him so cool and important because of how important his childhood made him feel. That is fucked. That's probably the most profound thing I've ever written from a movie that I watched. That's why I guess he's still not a complex character. He is a character in complex situations. And I'm not just simping for Scott Mechlowitz. I really hope that you like this video. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mean Creek. Please let me know what you thought of the movie if you've watched it in the comments below. And if you have any interesting theories, please let me know in the comments below. I like to talk about movies. If you want to see more content that's not me talking about movies and stuff, you can visit my new channel, Hothead Tony, right here. I have a screen right here. It makes it look, I look nice. That's cool, but I have to look straight at the camera so you guys can take me seriously. Go visit Hothead Tony. I like to do live streams on TikTok and Twitch sometimes. I haven't done it on Twitch. I lied to you. I'm so sorry. Go visit Hothead Tony. I like to play games that require... I like to play games where they're just real jobs for some reason. I also want more people to play games with, by the way. So if you have some games and you want to play Fast Food Simulator, you want to join my burger place, please let me know. Maybe we can start a Discord or something. I know a lot of people like watch my videos, but I want to get kind of a community going. That's not just me never posting videos. If you just want me doing this movie stuff, stay here. Don't go anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. And since you're over there, go ahead and give me a subscribe too. I'd really appreciate that. I know I talked about a lot of things, and you probably didn't watch to the end of the video, and that's fine. If you're new here, I like to watch movies and talk about them, probably in the most unconventional way possible that doesn't really make for good YouTube videos. I have a very weird way of like explaining my feelings about things, but anyways, thank you. I love you. I'll see you soon. And that's a promise. As a promise. Does that mean he's got more stuff on the way? Maybe that means I have more stuff done. And I'm just kind of waiting here. I'm waiting for you. Your move. Checkmate.